All right, guys, I just wanted to do a little look-see back on college basketball the last few years, brackets going back to 2017. I think that's the ones I've got here. So this was actually a simulation that I ran earlier today. Actually, like a few minutes ago, I ran this. But yeah, so this is something that I think realistically could happen. You've got Houston, UCLA. I like the Marquette in the Final Four. And then you do have Bama making it, beating Gonzaga there in the Elite Eight. You've also got a little zesty 12v13 matchup on the bottom right, Charleston versus Utah Valley. There's always going to be some upsets. We understand that. You also have Oral Roberts making the Sweet 16. If Oral Roberts gets in as a 12, you're going to have Oral Roberts. Well, this bracket actually has Bradley in, so they didn't even update it. So, guys, Bradley will not be in the tournament. They will be into the NIT. I wonder if Bradley will be a 1 seed in the NIT, but, I mean, you're going to have 12 seeds, possibly Drake, Oral Roberts. Both of those teams are going to get picked. No one is going to pick VCU if they're a 12 seed. No one. But that's just a little simulation I did with Houston winning it. Yeah, it'll be a weird year, man. I mean, there's really no great team. We'll have to see how it all aligns. Let's look back at the previous years. We're just going to go kind of backwards. So starting last year, 2022, really the first year in like 3 that we've actually gotten a real tournament that starts on Thursday, the sham pandemic tournament when they didn't even have the crowd. Remember, it started on Friday. It basically was a complete joke. So this was really the first year back. You've got the 8 seed North Carolina making it all the way to the championship, losing to Kansas by 3. So Kansas wins their first one in a little while. North Carolina beating Baylor was pretty remarkable. I don't even remember who I picked to win this. I mean, I certainly did. Maybe I did. No, I would have remembered if I picked Kansas to win it. I would have remembered that. I think I might have picked Tennessee or something, to be honest with you guys. And Tennessee didn't even make the Sweet 16 in this. They lost to Michigan. Colorado State was a 6 seed. I don't even remember that. They were 25-5. So there's some, interesting teams. It's always fun to go back and look. South Dakota State was 30-4 last year, and they were in a 4v13. Oh, that's right. Last year, I was telling everyone Providence was a fraud because, I mean, when you looked at the analytical numbers, I mean, Providence, it was just crazy. I had never seen anything like Providence basketball. This was literally a bubble team that was ranked as a 4 seed. And then, I mean, they did kind of get lucky with Richmond beating Iowa in a 12v5, so they got to face Richmond in round 2. They end up beating Richmond. And then they did lose to Kansas only by 5 points. But, yeah, I thought Providence was a fraud last year. I'm not going to lie. And then Kansas beating Arizona. It's just so hard to judge Arizona or any of these Pac-12 teams because it's such a weak conference. There's no depth. So, yes, they're going to run a record of 31-3. But then they don't even make it to the Elite Eight because, I mean, they're a solid team. It's just like, what do we do with UCLA and Arizona this year? They're just going to beat a bunch of crap in the Pac-12, but, are those really Final Four quality teams? I don't know. And then I remember a lot of people picking Indiana to beat St. Mary's when St. Mary's was a 5 and Indiana was a 12. And St. Mary's crushed Indiana by 30. And then UCLA beat St. Mary's, but yeah, so, the big story in this tournament, obviously North Carolina making that run. You had only one 1 seed in the Final Four. A 2 seed or two 2 seeds made it. Villanova, how far has Villanova fallen? My goodness. Villanova, Duke, North Carolina was an 8, and then Kansas was a 1 seed, and Kansas ends up winning it. Looking back at 2021, this was the pandemic tournament, the Oral Roberts upset. Ridiculous over Ohio State. Ohio State was actually a 2 seed for once, and they lost in the first round. Baylor was crazy. And Gonzaga, yes, Gonzaga was trying to go undefeated, and they end up losing to Baylor in the national championship game. Yeah, so this one, I think I had Gonzaga winning the entire thing, but I did have Baylor versus Gonzaga. I do remember that. And I do remember having UCLA in the Final Four as an 11 seed. Yes, I do remember that. That was a really, really good call by me. And then I did not have Houston making the Final Four, but Houston was 24-3 that year. Who were the big upsets? Syracuse over San Diego State. I'll tell you, San Diego State has a really nice basketball program. Oregon State beat Tennessee in a 12v5. That's pretty standard there. Oh, I did have Winthrop winning against Villanova. They were 23-1, but Villanova ends up winning. What was the game where I blamed the pandemic on one of these games? It might have been like I gotta look for it. It might have been a 12v5 game. I'm telling you guys, if there were fans in the stands, there was a game. Was it Virginia? Oh, yeah, Ohio beat Virginia. Yes, Ohio, the 13. That's the thing with Virginia. Virginia plays with such a style every year where they can very easily get upset by anyone. Oh, it was Colgate against Arkansas. Yeah, guys, that was a sham of a game. If it was a different circumstance, I had Colgate winning that game. Colgate was up 13-1 to start that game. And because of the pandemic, it enabled Arkansas to come back. And it was just crazy. I never seen anything like it. But yeah, Baylor just crazy. Gonzaga going for the undefeated season. Although people were like, well, they're in the West Coast Conference. It doesn't really count. But, you know, you got to respect the undefeated season if it happens. But Baylor was a power keg there at the end. And was just, they crushed Houston. They beat Houston by 19, and then they beat Gonzaga, and they were winning that game the entire time. That was not a competitive national championship, but that was 2021. Looking back at 2020, of course, this did not happen, and I would say the team that got screwed the most, either Kansas State or Dayton. Both of those teams got screwed. I mean, Baylor was a 1 seed, of course, Kansas as well, but both of those teams have won. Gonzaga, a 1 seed. San Diego State, man, that sucks. You're a 1 seed and the tournament gets canceled. And you're San Diego State. Duke was a 2 seed. West Virginia was a 2 seed. Dayton might have actually been a 1 seed. This bracket predicts them as a 2 seed, but they might have been a 1 seed. And then Louisville. Think about how bad Louisville is now. But yeah, what a shame that never happened in 2020. But, you know, it is what it is. And let's go back to 2019 with Virginia. So, yes, I correctly predicted Auburn to make the Final Four, Virginia to win the national title over Texas Tech, and I did not predict Michigan State to make it. Michigan State made it as a 2 seed over Duke. Was that Duke team? That was not the Zion. Was that the Zion year? I think it was. Yeah, that had to have been, because they were a 1 seed. Virginia was a 1 seed. Guys, it was so obvious that Virginia was going to win this tournament after they lost to the 16 seed. You knew they were due. And they were 29-3, but they had some very lucky games. I think they had like 3 games where they probably should have lost. The game against Gardner, imagine if they would have lost to Gardner-Webb. Oh, it would have been amazing. But they were actually trailing, and people were joking, saying they were going to lose to a 16 seed again. But yeah, Virginia, you know, it was very obvious that they were going to win it. And then Auburn, you know, having a 5 seed make the Final Four, you just like the setup. Although, man, New Mexico State was 30-4. They beat New Mexico State by 1 point. That's hilarious how that works. And then Auburn beats Kansas, North Carolina, and Kentucky. That is a rough road. They beat all the top seeds. Wow. Oregon versus UC Irvine. That's a fun little second-round matchup between a pair of teams that upsetted. Liberty upset Mississippi State. Your typical 12v5 upset, not surprising. Other than that, really no. I mean, Murray State, another 12v5 upset. That might have been the John Morant team against Marquette. Yeah, I think Marquette had like a crazy scorer that year. I forget his name, but they had someone who was leading college basketball in scoring. Washington made the tournament. Wow. But overall, You know, you've got a 2 seed in Michigan State, a 1 seed in Virginia, a 3 seed in Texas Tech, and a 5 seed in Auburn. I would say when it comes to doing 2023 brackets, you're going to want 1 seed in the Final Four. That would be the strategy, I think, just looking at how things are going. Looking at 2018, oh, this was such a sham. Yeah, 2018 was a joke because you had Michigan. I mean, I've never seen a team get such an easy path as a 3 seed to the Final Four. Look at Michigan's path to the Final Four. They beat Montana, then they beat Houston on a buzzer beater half-court shot by Jordan Poole. Then they beat 7-seeded A&M. Then they beat 9-seed Florida State. Then they beat 11-seed Loyola Chicago, Sister Jean. I can't believe Loyola Chicago made the Final Four. That is great. And then on the other side, it's complete chalk. It's literal chalk. Look at the Elite Eight. 1v3, 1v2, Final Four, 1v1. Villanova, Jay Wright handles Michigan in that game. That was Dante DiVincenzo, the white boy, just going crazy in the national title. But yes, this was the year I did have Nevada, I think, making the Final Four or something, and they might have lost in the first round. I don't know if Nevada's even on here. Where is Nevada even on here? I don't know. But yeah, so was there any big upsets? I mean, just looking, Marshall. Who did Marshall beat? Wichita State. That was Wichita State's last year of relevance. It's so sad. Syracuse beat TCU. I mean, Syracuse always seems to win when they're like an 11 seed. It's weird. They always seem to go to the Sweet 16 when they are ranked low. But yeah, so Nevada was facing Texas, and oh no, Nevada won a few games. Maybe I had them going to the Final Four another year. Or was it a different team other than Nevada? God, I don't remember. It was a team from the Mountain West, but either way, I mean, you know, Villanova beating Michigan, I mean, good Lord. You're facing Loyola Chicago in the Final Four. Come on, let's be honest there. And then 2017, North Carolina beat Gonzaga. Oh yeah, the year South Carolina made the Final Four. Amazing. South Carolina, the 7 seed, makes the Final Four. 2 1 seeds make it. And then I think that's Dylan Brooks' Oregon team making it as well, knocking off Kansas there. Rhode Island had an upset over Creighton. Middle Tennessee beat Minnesota. Man, Minnesota was a 5 seed. Good for them. Wichita, well, that's not really an upset, but Xavier beat Maryland. There's a lot of 11-6 upsets. USC beat SMU. A lot of 11-6 upsets that were happening for sure, but it was kind of a well, except for that one region. The East region wasn't chalky, but the other regions, I guess Xavier made it. Yeah, Xavier made the Elite Eight as an 11 seed, so it wasn't completely chalky, but you did have a 1v1 final with North Carolina beating Gonzaga there. So I just wanted to look back at some of the brackets of the past with the actual bracket being released on Sunday night, where I will be filling it out, of course, and everything like that. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.